From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with OU beat writer Joe Masato. Joe, very quick turnaround for the Sooners. Played on Saturday in that Big 12 SEC Challenge, a big win, a nice win against Vanderbilt. And here, what, 50 hours later, 55 hours, something. I'm not good at math, but it's pretty quick turning around and playing Baylor at home. What's the challenge when you've got to turn around like this?
Well, I think one of the challenges is you're facing two brothers, and maybe they're giving each other a little bit of game plan advice. They played Bryce Drew at Vanderbilt on Saturday. They played Scott Drew, obviously the longtime Baylor coach, on Monday. But I think, some of the obvious as far as a quick turnaround, fatigue. I think one thing that helps OU is that it was a blowout win Saturday. Christian James checked out with 5 minutes left. A lot of the other starters did, so they shouldn't be too spent. Baylor was actually in a pretty close game against Alabama at home, so I think it's even a tougher turnaround from them because they've got to at least go on the road. OU has back-to-back home games. You
mentioned Christian James. Let's talk about him for just a second because his shooting woes have been well documented. He's obviously been aware of them. Looks like maybe he took a first step to busting out of that a little bit against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he played really well against Vanderbilt. Talking to him after the game, he just said, he really had to lock in. He had to refocus. Talking to Lon Kruger before that matchup, Lon said, you know what, like when you're the target of the opposition, that means you've got to work that much harder in the gym. That means you've got to get your shots up when no one else is. You've got to watch more film. And it seemed like something clicked with Christian James. Now, the challenge, I think, for him is to see if he can carry that over into Big 12 play because that was another non-conference game, and he played well throughout the non-conference. It's just kind of against these Big 12 teams that he struggled.
Well, looking at Big 12 teams this week, though, it looks like the Sooners have a chance to maybe gain some ground in the standings because Baylor at home and then at West Virginia, a couple of seemingly winnable games for the Sooners, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound super easy, but in the Big 12, I think this is probably the easiest as it can possibly get, especially coming off last week when they played Oklahoma State and Vanderbilt. But starting Monday night against Baylor, I mean, that's a winnable game. West Virginia is the worst team in the Big 12, but never an easy place to play. They beat Kansas in Morgantown. But I think you're, looking at this week, and if OU can, possibly get two games, I mean, they're looking at kind of flipping the standings and being on the right side of that 500 mark.
Lastly, if they go to West Virginia and get a win, is it stop the press this time? I mean, that'll be two in a row. 2 in a row on the road, Joe, after almost, a year plus since they'd won on the road in Big 12 play?
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty incredible. Yeah, they had more than a year-long losing streak and then maybe a 2-game winning streak, so maybe we'd have to start writing about the road Big 12 winning streak after that.
We'll see. We may make them get to at least 3 games before we call it a streak. But considering where they're coming from, 2 in a row on the road would be big, as would 2 wins this week. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.